It is really wonderful to be with you here today to celebrate this Monday once again. As Father Shea said, I teach at the university, and so the school year precludes me from coming here and celebrating this Eucharist and joining you in this novena to Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal. But now, school's out, and I'm free. So I'm happy to be here with you. Although I'm surprised you're here because I know when school gets out, most of you go down the shore. School ended 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had graduation, magnificent celebration, a sea of red at St. John's University of students, many of them first-generation immigrants and children of the immigrants. People got there as early as 7 o'clock for a 12 o'clock procession. It was phenomenal. Last weekend, this past weekend, yesterday, we just concluded Alumni Weekend. And Alumni Weekend, 160,000 strong, plus, we chose a handful of alumni to honor with all different awards and recognitions and achievement medals. And it was pretty phenomenal. We chose some very high-profile lawyers, some corporate moguls, some significant individuals in the industry. But in reading the citations of all these individuals, what was so profound was the very fact that as powerful and as big, as important as these individuals had become, they never lost sight of what they learned at St. John's University. St. John's University is deeply Catholic, strongly Vincentian in the city of New York. So these individuals may be quite large in their various occupations, but what's very striking is they never forget that service is a manifestation of their faith. Many of them give their time, treasure, and talent, as we know it, to help others. Why? Because they know themselves how much they were helped by their experience of being trained in the gospel and in Vincentian values at St. John's. As magnificent as they get, they never fail to help. I thought of that analogy when I thought about the topic for today, Our Lady Help of Christians. You are all very well versed in Marian theology. You know that we celebrate the feast day tomorrow, Our Lady of Help of Christians. You know well also that tomorrow, when we celebrate this feast, we celebrate the patronal feast of the continent of Australia. But in reading about this feast, I found it very interesting. This feast originated in 1571. It seems as though some things never change, that the church was fighting against anti-Christian forces. And it was reported by the enemy that as the Christians were fighting them, they saw this beautiful woman appear on the battlefield. And in turn, look at the enemy, and with the fierce gaze, destroy the enemy and send them into flight, so that the church, the Christians, would win the battle. And in celebration, the soldiers supposedly came back to Loretto and saw the statue of Lady Help of Christians and dedicated themselves to Our Lady under that title. You may know that Salesians of Don Bosco continue that tradition today by promoting that same kind of devotion. As powerful as Mary is, she never fails to help us. You recognize that in your own lives. How often have you been coming? Have I been coming? Have we been saying this novena Monday after Monday? And recognizing that Mary's assistance, those graces are there for us just for the asking. We acclaim her as the Mother of God. We acclaim her as the Christ bearer. Yet as important as she gets, she never fails to assist us in our own journey. What are some of the areas that we can grab that she has assisted or taught us how to be faithful? Well, early on, we recognize that she was called to be the mother of God. She didn't reject. She didn't turn her back and say, not me. But she placed her hand in God's hand and says, okay, let's go with it. Thy will be done. That confidence in God in the midst of an uncertain future. How many of us face uncertain days, uncertain difficulties, challenging us our lives? And we ask Mary for that same help. Give us that same confidence that you had when you were chosen to be the mother of God. Mary leads us to Jesus. Outside the Student Center at Niagara University, one of our other Vincentian universities here in this province, there's a beautiful statue of Our Lady, and it says, Ad Jesum per Mariam, to Jesus through Mary. I think back to the wedding at Cana. The wedding at Cana when they had that awful experience of running out of booze at a reception. And what happened? Jesus stepped in. But Mary was the intercessor. Mary was the one that made sure the waiters know, do whatever he tells you. That's the same encouragement that Mary gives to us, to be attentive to God's Son, her beloved Son, and do whatever he tells you. The third example of Mary's life, it seems, that is so poignant for our own journey as faithful people, is at the foot of the cross, where Mary was present. It seems as though everyone else deserted the Lord at that point. Yet it was Mary who was faithful to the end. And in the end, she rejoiced in the victory that God was faithful to her. My friends, we know well the stories of many powerful people, important people, people who have made it, that forget about their histories, forget about their own people. Mary never forgets about us. As powerful virgin as she is, she still remains that vessel of graces, that mediatrix of hope. As we celebrate the Feast of the Lady of Help of Christians tomorrow, we acclaim her as the one who has assisted us in our own journey, led us to her Son Jesus, and even today guides us still.